there's no time for some over-the-top fancy schmancy opening. I've got some culinary celebrating to do.
I got 5 more minutes till I get gone. And there ain't no changing the road I'm on.
Here, between the bounty of the Gulf and the harvest of the Delta's farmlands, is St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana's North Shore. Here, a growing farm-to-fork food culture has captured the attention of foodies across the globe. My culinary journey goes off the eaten path to discover the abundance of the Tammany taste. There is a short time in the early sweetness of summer where an escape to one of the blueberry farms on the North Shore, like Blue Harvest Farms in Covington, is the surest way to get back to nature.
See, watch, Daddy's gonna eat it.
So my daughter was 2 years old at the time. The bushes were about her height. And that first season when we had berries out in the field, she just did what came natural, and she started picking them and putting them in her mouth. And at that point, I decided, we were not going to be a conventional farm. We were going to be an organic farm. I was not going to spray anything that would potentially harm my daughter.
Can we eat them, Sophie? At Blue Harvest Farms, the pintos are growing more than blueberries. They've created a sanctuary for families where they can create new memories and reawaken an old bond.
It's that family experience. It's getting connected to Mother Earth, which is what we all need to do. Most of our kids have no clue where the food that we pick up at the grocery store comes from. So that parent who decides to bring their child out and experience Mother Nature and see firsthand where this stuff comes from, and what a positive experience too, because they love the blueberries.
You want this one? That's it. Oh, you're gonna take the biggest. Take the biggest.
I want it to be that experience that they can't wait to come back. It only happens 6 to 10 days out of a year.
You gonna let go of those blueberries in your hand?
I had a dad come up to me one day and say, that he taught his sons that they had to work through the obstacles to get to some of the best looking berries in the field. And he said, it was an experience that he just couldn't put a price tag on. To me, the way I look at it is it's my family's contribution to the world. Though it's small in the grand scheme of things, it's our little way of saying, hey, we were a part of the solution and not a part of the problem.
Fresh from the pick at Blue Harvest Farms, it's obvious that the solution never tasted so good. Bib overalls aren't needed to get to the North Shore's movement back to the garden. All its abundance and freshness can be found in the farmers markets in Mandeville, Slidell, and Covington. At the Covington Farmers Market, there is a true community of growers and patrons of homegrown fresh produce and prepared foods. Expect to see the melon thumpers, the cereal sampler, and award-winning chefs.
You know what the best part about the North Shore is? The farms. We have all the farms over here.
I was just real impressed with the food markets and the availability of getting local produce.
The buy local craze that is now all the rage is just the way it's always been done here. Bartlett Farms has sold at this market for years. Fellow North Shore native Nick Usner is a certified organic grower with a growing reputation.
Nick, you are the man that all the local restaurants on the North Shore and the South Shore come for great organic food. Why are you out here working on a Saturday?
Man, because it's really a great community market. A lot of the customers here know or have eaten many times at the restaurants, the local restaurants that I sell to. So I think many of them enjoy preparing it themselves. It's a way for me to kind of get it out to the public so they can cook it on their own.
But Nick is growing for more than the public.
I had a baby 8 weeks ago, and I can't tell you how good it feels to know that she's going to be eating the same stuff that I'm growing. Makes me want to work harder to make it better, if that's even possible,
I need to take one of these home to my wife and my babies. Look at that. That's just...
They're good. Try one raw. You see them at the grocery a lot of time, and they'll hang limp. These snap, still juicy and sweet.
These might not make it home. I'm intrigued with the combination of tamales and Italian bakery. How does that happen?
It's a full meal here, right? You've got supper, and then of course, as an Italian, we always had dessert. We still do today. This is our #1 selling cookie is the cucciadata. I'm gonna let those fall out for you like jewels. Look at that. Beautiful.
Like
it's figs
jewels.
and dates and apricots. It takes 3 days to prepare these. Most bakeries don't do it because it's too much work.
How many days am I tasting right here?
This is 3 days.
I'm tasting 3 days right here. And I'm killing it in about 10 seconds. That's horrible.
I can't get these cookies anywhere else, and I will wrestle you and hit you with my walker if you try to take them away.
So why do you come out here to the farmer's market?
The pleasure on people's faces and knowing that this is food they're not going to find at other places.
I think it's important for people to know who's making their kombucha. This community is my heart and soul, #1. It's just such a unique community. You look around at this market, I mean, it's like a giant family out here every week. I couldn't imagine another way to sell it.
More than getting ourselves back to the garden, the farmers markets of St. Tammany are a connection to the community. Here among the green-thumbed and green-minded, we are golden. If you celebrate food, Louisiana has no off-season. Produce is always coming out of the ground, and 12 months a year, seafood is coming out of the water. And that makes every day a good day for the catch of the day at Kenny Seafood in Slidell. Robert Kenny, a longtime shrimp captain, opened the store in 1989, and now his son-in-law, Brian Cappy, has taken the helm. And there is one thing Cappy knows.
Fresh Louisiana seafood.
How fresh?
This one's still alive. It's moving a little bit.
Fresh Louisiana white shrimp, caught last night. These are only 6 hours old.
Look at the size of those bad boys.
This is where everybody from backyard boilers to top chefs like John Besh get the prime goods.
Louisiana blue crabs, live crawfish, live crabs, boiled crawfish, boiled crabs, fresh shrimp, boiled shrimp, numerous Gulf fish, flounder, tuna, speckled trout, redfish. If it's in the water, that's what we sell.
Lucky for me, it's crawfish and crab season. If you want Louisiana culture, you want crawfish.
How much are you boiling a day right now that crabs and crawfish are fresh?
Crabs, a couple 100 pounds of crabs a day. Crawfish, about 1,000 pounds boiled a day.
Oh man. Louisiana eats good, don't they?
We have the best seafood in the country, if not in the world.
On the scenic banks of the Tchefuncte is a riverfront tradition that the locals head to when they desire the delicious delights of the Louisiana culinary coast.
Morton's opened 30 years ago when Madisonville was small and St. Tammany Parish was small.
Locals come to Morton's because few towns love and live seafood like Madisonville. Its long and storied nautical history made it ideal for the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Maritime Museum. It also made the perfect place for me to catch the boat.
The seafood boat at Morton's, I christened it the Titanic because it's going down. It might take a while, but it's going down.
This Poseidon-sized poor boy, made from a hollowed Leidenheimer loaf overstuffed with fried tastiness, is just one of the reasons to dash over to Morton Seafood, especially when the hot boiled seafood sign starts to flash. For the locals, it's like a lip-smacking lighthouse of goodness.
It's good, folks. It's good food. It's good service. It's consistent. You know, it's just good living around here. We are kind of laid back, and that's a good thing.
It's all good at Morton's. With the abundance of flavors on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, it's easy to come to one divine conclusion.
Louisiana is God's country.
It's hard to debate that belief after seeing the blessings of this land where the sea meets the farm. But even for an area that was farm to table way before it became so righteously hip to be local, what's going on now at the St. Joseph Abbey Seminary College is causing quite a buzz. They're harvesting a taste of honey, building upon a tradition that goes back centuries.
Well, actually, beekeeping is an ancient monastic custom. If you look up some of the ancient medieval manuscripts, often show monks at beekeeping.
So with the help of longtime Abbey volunteer Jeff Horchoff, I'm going to go medieval.
Don't you feel like a man with that?
I feel like a man. Bees!
While working his way to becoming a monk, Jeff works on the Abbey's other better-known business, making caskets that are simple and spiritual, like life in this century-old Benedictine monastery. Recently, Jeff brought his other talent to yield, beekeeping. For my sake, I hope Jeff can also teach.
What you have to do is you have to separate your fears and look into the true calmness of the bees on the hive.
All right, so now
This is kind of like a priest at Mass.
I learned quickly that beekeeping is not for the faint of heart.
You want to hold it with your fingers. Don't let it set, because you'll drop it and then you'll have angry bees. There's something more going on in there than just insects doing what they do. You know, and it's weird. I don't see all those bees. I'm looking for something different, and that's how I find that queen.
I just see an allergic reaction.
What I see is the wonder of God in that God's hand is in this.
It's right there.
That's
so,
right, you
so
got her.
big.
You found her, Tom.
I found the queen.
I also found a new respect for the hive and lost my fear of the sting.
This is probably a minimum of 10,000 bees up here.
With every hive, I became more captivated by the choreographed commotion of bees. 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat is made possible by insects like these. I needed to sing their praise.
I'm a beekeeper, baby. Keeping your bees for free. If you want something sweet, come see me, the honeybee. I think the bees dig my singing.
The hard-to-get, natural, pure honey was the only reward needed.
In June, when we put the honey out, we put it out on Saturday, and Monday it was gone.
With one taste, you'll understand the amazing success behind St. Joseph's Abbey honey.
Sweetness of God's country.
In the rolling knolls of bush, there's a scene out of the French countryside. Here at the award-winning Pontchartrain Vineyards, the fruits of Dionysus are being introduced to Louisiana's best.
Well, as you know, Louisiana is quite famous for their food, so our idea is to produce wines that complement Louisiana foods.
In 1991, winemaker John Seago started the vineyard with the goal of creating quality wines that paired well with not only the cuisine, but the culture. And so, Louisiana's wine was born with a little help from Seago's friends.
A few of us who had only been drinking wine for quite a while decided that we would see if we could do it with them. After a lot of what I'd like to call false starts, we have 2 varietals of grapes that grow very well in southeast Louisiana, and we make about 6 different varieties of wine from those grapes.
But some enophiles were raising eyebrows, not glasses.
The first thing people say is Louisiana wine. That's a little peculiar. So our job is to make sure they taste it before they make a decision.
And that's exactly why I'm here. Sip after sip, you can taste the little southern twist to these traditional wines. My favorite, the Port of New Orleans.
This is a tawny style of port that we do here at the vineyard. You pick up the cranberries and the kind of fruitcake almost in the front, and dates, pecans on the back end. It reminds me of my grandmother's house at Christmas.
Yeah, there was a lot of drinking in my house on Christmas.
The science of pairing becomes a celebration when you bring music to the table, or in this case, the blanket. At Pontchartrain Vineyard's outdoor concert series, Jazz in the Vine.
The idea is to bring in good groups from all over the world to kind of bring music, food, and wine together, which we're really good at in Louisiana.
You won't stomp any grapes at Pontchartrain Vineyards, but you will stomp your feet on this uniquely North Shore night. Louisiana is passionate about its food, music, and good times. And very few libations go with all that fun, like beer. Maybe that's why the craft beer business here has more than doubled in the past 5 years. To map out the now 20 breweries, the state has created a road trip known as the Louisiana Brewery Trail. To tap the keg of Louisiana's craft beer scene, you have to journey to where it all started, the quirky, artsy little town of Abita Springs. What else would you expect from a town with the motto, where nature performs miracles? Those same springs provided the water for Abita Brewery, the oldest and largest craft brewery in the southeastern U.S. But in 1986, the brewery's original headquarters was here, in what is now the Abita Brew Pub.
This is holy ground. This is where Abita started.
Right, yes. Yes, and I get to see a lot of them that really love the Abita.
Really?
Really love the Abita, yes.
They do more than worship the ground that Abita.
There are some, yes. They think they've come to Mecca.
So this is part of a family pilgrimage. This is the family vacation now.
It is. This is what we spend our time doing now.
Going on brew tours.
That's what we do.
First it was locals, and locals, they love the local beer, but it's just good quality beer. It's made right, and it's fresh.
Tastes
and it has
good.
flavor, and they do a big variety, so there's a beer for everybody.
Yes, there is.
You may also hit the family-friendly pub because it's on the Tammany Trace, the North Shore's 31-mile asphalt trail. But you will come back for so much more.
We try to incorporate a little bit of fun as we go along with the family obligations of visiting. We try to have a little fun on the way.
This makes family obligations a lot easier to handle, doesn't it?
Yes. Make sure to schedule some brewery tours before and after visiting family.
Abita started brewing craft beer before it was even called craft beer. Today, Abita still uses the same artesian spring water it used when it pioneered the South's homegrown hops boom back in 1986. Now, the state's first has made a name internationally, and with its recent $15 million expansion, Abita has grown from producing 1,500 barrels its first year to today's brewing capacity of over 400,000 barrels annually. That means we have a lot of work to do.
Cheers.
Cheers, Dave.
Our bartender and tour guide is David Blossman, Abita president. The North Shore native became Abita's president in 1996, but his involvement with the company goes back almost to its founding, when the then 17-year-old helped brew those first small batches of Abita.
How did you become the 14th largest small craft brewery in America? What is happening here?
It's dumb luck.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
We got a great team. We got a great vision. That's what we have here. We have a great team that loves what they're doing, and their passion shows in our beer.
You can taste the passion.
Oh, yeah.
I need to taste a little bit more passion here, but...
That passion can be tasted in the 20 distinct brews Abita crafts every year, plus the limited runs and single-barrel productions.
When you love what you do, there's no walls you won't break through. There's not any risk you won't take.
What's one of your drafts that just surprised you?
Amber.
Really?
Really? When we started, I know now you look back and I'm like, how can you say that? But when we started out, we made 2 beers, Golden and Amber. And Amber was just so different, we didn't know everybody would get it.
Louisiana got it, and they couldn't get enough of it.
But it was the point of difference that Amber was just so radically different than what was available in the market. And it was so suited to our lifestyles, our cuisine, the way we love to live, the way we like to have a good time. That's Amber.
That's Abita. And they're constantly creating new tastes to put Louisiana's culture on tap. And there's no better place to fill your Abita passion bucket or a growler than the new visitor center and tap room.
We love making new beers and trying new things, and we love interacting with our customers. And our fans can come here, drink our products, and tell us face to face what they're looking for, what they like and don't like, and you can't ask for a better connection to your customer than a personal one.
You can also take the extensive tour of the brewery.
We look at it like a destination. We want people to come here and learn more about what we have going on, both with the brewing process, what we're all about, our green initiatives, and have a great time and sample all our beers. And, it's pretty fresh. It comes right from there.
Pretty fresh.
I can tell you, brewing is part science and it's part art.
And kids, this is the reason to study in science, right?
My science class with David was about to go green.
The environment here is such a part of our culture, and we love our culture too much to let that go away. We do what we can to do more with less. So that's efficiency. Make sure we're really energy efficient. And one of them is right here. We are the first outside of Europe to have this Crohn's energy recovery system called Equitherm.
I call it free energy.
For those blinded by science, basically it means
our brew house takes the steam from the output of the kettle and actually uses that recovered energy to heat up the mash.
the outcome of this and other green initiatives may not be seen for generations, but that's okay.
Look, I'm a CPA, okay, and I know business and I love it. I can appreciate that. But I love things that are way more important than the bottom line. Environment's way more important than that.
Has anybody hugged you because of Andy Gator?
No, let's do it.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. This is a man hug.
It's a man hug.
Hugs, ecology, love, and beer. What a wonderful world of Abita. With local breweries creating flavors that accompany the state's culture, Covington Brewhouse is putting down a beer that turns up the volume to 11. Covington's master brewer, Brian Bruiser Broussard, is not only an accomplished brewer, he's a rocker. By night, he's playing bass for the raucous and redemptive rock and roll gumbo that is New Orleans' own Cowboy Mouth. But during the day, he's brewmaster.
I always wanted to be a musician. I honestly never grew up saying I want to make beer. It's something that I actually fell into and fell in love with. I actually got a job at a brewery directly out of high school. I was a brewer trainee when I was 19 years old, and within a year I was making a third of the beer that came out of this brewery, and I wasn't even old enough to drink it.
Years on the long and winding road led him to this history-steeped brewery in the heart of Covington.
I like traveling. That's why I play music. That's why I play all over the country. And one of the things I love doing is going to different places and drinking the different flavors, just like eating the food. Beer is the same way.
Do you put a little rock and roll in each of these beers you design?
Yeah, of course. I'm a big fan of what we do. I like being small, I like being regional. It's something I'm very proud of, All of our beers, on their own, they stand their ground. They're all great beers.
A tour and a trip to the tasting room is the best way to dive right into Covington's collection.
This is the only place in the world that you can come in and drink every single one of the beers that we make.
I'm looking at those taps, and seriously, I'm gonna cry. I think I may weep openly on TV. Here it is, rock and roll summer.
A pint of seasonal is a good start.
You're the first person outside of anybody that works at this brewery to ever drink that beer. How do you feel?
I feel like it's summer. I feel like people sitting there with lighters in their hand. Would you give me one more? And you just gave them one more. Mm-hmm. Could you give me one more?
Sure.
Whatever the choice, Covington Brewhouse is creating local libations that are ready to rock. No parish has more stops on the Louisiana Brewery Trail than St. Tammany. Now with 4 breweries, the North Shore is beer central, with the additions of Old Rail Brewing Company and Chafuncta Brewing Company in Mandeville. Old Rail Brewing Company has one thing the others don't. Old Rail's beers are only sold at Old Rail, making it one of the only true brew pubs in the state.
I think I found my happy place.
Doing their own brew thing, Old Rail can be as experimental with their beers as they want. And their full pub menu is the perfect catalyst for your own experimentation in libations. The Chafuncta Brewing Company is the perfect marriage between craft beer and culture. It's also the perfect love child of the husband and wife team Josh and Jamie Erickson.
We love beer. We love sharing beer with others. We love the expressions on people's faces when they drink our beer for the first time and they light up and they're like, wow, I didn't know beer could taste this good. So it gets us excited.
The name Chafuncta is not Rand McNally approved, but it is spelled the way you say the name of the Chafuncta River.
And we also want to put the funk in Chafuncta.
But Josh has taken out the micro of microbrewery with flavors that are ginormous enough to handle Louisiana's big personality.
Creativity is very much welcome in this part of the country, and so it allows us to be very free and expressive with our recipes. So we want people to taste that passion that's behind every beer and enjoy it.
You can do just that at Chafuncta's Brew Tour, where you can raise a pint as Josh raises the bar one brew at a time.
I think I'm going to let you just go for the gusto and go with Bucare. It's our Imperial IPA, 7.5% ABV, lots of malts, lots of hops. We use a special technique called late hopping in that beer. And what that does is it gives you the hop aroma, the hop flavor, but none of that palate-wrecking bitterness that you get in a lot of Imperial IPAs.
What I like about this is
This is not really a tasting size serving. You're giving me a regular pint.
You're gonna have to dump most of this out, okay?
No, I'm not. I am not dumping this out. That's a good IPA.
Thank you. I have a feeling you're not gonna dump that out.
I'm not dumping this out. What are you doing?
April of 2013 was our very first pint that we sold at the Barley Oak here in Mandeville, Louisiana.
The Barley Oak is serious about beer. Really serious.
I really want people to be aware of how much work goes into this glass that you're about to enjoy.
Inspired by German beer gardens and English pubs, this is one of Louisiana's most epic beer bars.
This is where it happened.
where it
Right
all
here at
began.
the Barley Oak.
That night's tale of the tap, Jafuncta had 2 beers against the rest of the planet.
We debuted 504 and Bucare on the same night and had a huge crowd. We were so nervous and excited, and the beers were rolling that night.
I was so proud to be part of that moment. This is something he's wanted his whole life.
It was very gratifying and satisfying knowing that people were finally spending their hard-earned money on the things that you work so hard at.
They're the best selling. I mean, there are 4 beers that we have up right now. We can't keep them up. We can't keep them on the wall.
It's not really competition, it's like one big family of awesome beer, and if there's not an awesome beer up there, it's not going to survive. So you better make awesome beer.
Awesome beer and the American dream.
You put that love, that culture, that passion behind every batch, and you let it come out in the pint at the end of the day. That's where it ends.
It's America in a glass.
Cue patriotic music.
Because our founding fathers drank a lot of beer. In fact, Thomas Jefferson, after he was president, after the Louisiana Purchase, what did he do? What was his next step up?
Brew beer.
Brew beer, baby.
Maybe our founding father, Ben Franklin, didn't really say beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. But he would have if he came to Louisiana.
God still loves us.
God still loves us.
Like the food and music, the breweries of the North Shore are not only reflecting the joy of life that is Louisiana, they live it.
From day one, we're passionate about beer, but we're passionate about Louisiana and everything that's Louisiana.
We've got killer beer, killer food, and Louisiana's got the greatest culture in the world. I can't imagine myself living anywhere else. That's why I like to travel, but I always come home.
We have a great lifestyle here. I mean, look at our cuisine. I challenge people to find a bad meal. It's hard to do in Louisiana.
It is impossible, and I should know, because I am the man that accepted the challenge to savor all that is in the Tammany taste. And there is so much more I need to taste.